Coming to you live on location, this is the Between the Benches podcast, where we will discuss anything and everything hockey related. Let's drop the puck and get the action underway. All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Between the Benches podcast, brought to you by the Old City Sports Network. Make sure to check out oldcitysports.com for all of your favorite Philadelphia podcasts, articles, blogs, and more. You can check out the merch store as well. Use the promo code OLDCITY for 15% off. That's OLDE City for 15% off. As always, it's your boy Dak. Hope everybody is doing well this evening. I am accompanied by my two Canadian colleagues, as always, the fellas. It's Grandpa and Big Canada Daddy Brock Finch. Guys, how are we doing? I feel like it's been so long since I've seen your faces.
Now know that you're so used to calling Brock Big Daddy that's
I don't
know. That's
same
a power
page.
shift.
Same page.
I know.
Yeah. Same
I hate that. I haven't said it in a while. I feel like it's just the rust. I got to knock the rust off. Yeah. Nice. I'm sure. Yeah. Is that your club name? Never mind. That's gonna take us somewhere we don't want to go down.
He wanted to get a tattoo, but he just got the B in the eye.
Nice. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. All right. Well, we will. We have our Atlantic report cards to get into for this episode.
We're still in the off season.
We will bring you previews for each division as well coming up. I was just telling Graham before we got in here, Brock, we are going to do a college hockey preview episode this year as well. Gavin McKenna is playing. There's a couple other stars in college hockey. There's been a little bit of an expansion with the ages and everything, so I think it'd be kind of cool to preview it. Yeah, the rule change to allow those players to play. So before we get into tonight's episode, though, let's go Around the Rink. And Around the Rink is brought to you by our friends over at ironsteelthreads.com. Make sure to check out ironsteelthreads.com for great hoodies, shirts, other apparel. They got new designs every month. They are made here in the States. And you can use the promo code OLDCITY10. That's OLDE City 10 for 10% off. And part of your proceeds will go back to youth hockey organizations. So just to give you a quick little rundown here of Around the Rink, Joe Pavelski, Zach Parise, Scott Gomez, Tara Muncy, and Bruce Bennett are all set to be enshrined into the Hockey Hall of Fame this year. So congratulations to them. Shout out. Obviously, Joe Pavelski is kind of a given. I think this is his first time up. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Any of these names surprise you? Zach Parise? Anything you guys want to add?
No, he's had a great career. I mean, every team he's been on, he's been great. Even like at the end, he was still a useful NHLer. But yeah, it definitely overshadows the prime that he was in. But no surprises.
I think every single one of those names is worthy. I'm not going to turn this into a negative by pointing out who didn't go in. So I think we could just leave it at that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and
Google
I think
yourselves.
Nice. What's it rhyme with?
I'm not. No, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood.
Okay. Gotcha. So anyway, but yeah, I think last time I did check, last thing on Zach Parise, I think the last season or during the playoffs, he still leads the Wild in playoff points for franchise leaders. I think Kirill Kaprizov's right there though. So, which we will touch on that a little bit later in this episode. So, the next thing up we had in Around the Rink, we had to address the playoff cap counting, if you will. So the NHL has made some rule changes. The biggest one is being the cap situation entering the playoffs. So NHL teams must dress lineups within the salary cap during the Stanley Cup playoffs starting this season. The quote-unquote playoff cap counting is outlined in the Memorandum of Understanding between the NHL and NHL Players Association, which agreed upon on June 27th to a 4-year extension to the collective bargaining agreement as well. So, Brock, you seem to be the guy to know all about this. You want to dumb this down for me like I'm 5 years old?
I think that was a pretty good job explaining what it does. I feel like the only clarification that I would add to that is the key here is that the roster itself is the only thing that has to be cap compliant. You can have all your black aces, anyone in that press box, their cap hit does not fucking matter. You could have 150 million on your roster, but the players on the ice have to be cap compliant. That's the only distinction here. So yeah, I guess to add to that, you can start strategizing on how teams will manipulate this because, I mean, that's their jobs. That's their jobs. You got to find loopholes, man. I'm
Yeah.
curious. Like the first one that was pointed out that I didn't think of this, but I've talked about it with Graham, is now I think your backup goalie in the playoffs is going to be league man every single time because if for whatever reason that goalie gets injured, that's not a good thing. Depending on the point of the game, you can't play him for injury though, right? Like I will die on that hill. Otherwise, if you're putting your backup in, you're getting shelled. So who cares who it is? So
Yeah.
that's the only obvious thing that made sense to me is now the backup's going to be league min, and you're going to have your clear starter, whoever that may be.
Did you just disrespect Calvin Pickard by saying that, by the way? Just a thought. A thought.
Maybe directly, indirect.
Okay. Graham, did you have anything to add on that?
No, that's the easiest way that I can see any manipulation so far. And again, it's only going to be the teams that are up against the cap. I don't think every team's going to be that pressed, but the teams that are, I think that's an easy way to get some sort of relief.
We could talk more about it in the future because there are other rules that are adapted. I will say this. I don't like that they're adapting this year because this is technically the old CBA. Now, the players agreed to it. I don't fucking know why, but they did. So I think it should have been kicked into the actual next CBA. I don't know why they're grandfathering it in or however you want to describe it. I don't like
maybe
that.
They didn't want to discredit their championships as some teams were winning. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe just
some people would discredit the Panthers dynasty, and some of them would be on this podcast.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they haven't won a third one yet. They're not a dynasty yet. Yeah, no, it'll definitely be interesting to see how teams do manipulate it because, like you said, it's definitely somebody's job is to find a loophole and everything.
100%.
So, we did want to give a quick reminder. I guess send our condolences. Ken Dryden, the Montreal Canadiens legendary goaltender, unfortunately passed away. He did win a Calder Cup as well as 6 Stanley Cups and 5 Vezina trophies. So he won
and tell them how many seasons he did this in.
I do not have that in front of me.
I know it. It's 8.
8. Well, there it is.
And then he said,
"This got added late. So
I'm bored. I'm going to go be a lawyer."
He opted out of a full season to become a lawyer because he did not like how negotiations went.
Yeah.
Re-signed with Montreal. In the following 4 years, he won the Cup and the Vezina, and then retired.
That's crazy.
It's a crazy career, man. Like anything you don't know about Ken Dryden, go read more about him. Crazy man, in a good way. Crazy life, fantastic man is what I should say. Very, very wonderful man. Like I have not heard an interview with him that was bad. I haven't heard a story about him that was bad. Look into it. He wrote a book. He wrote a book. Go buy his book. Let's see.
Okay.
So learn all about it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Great life.
I'm going to do my homework on Ken Dryden. No, that's incredible. That talk about proactiveness, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So our condolences to the Dryden family. I'm sure Montreal will be wearing patches or, something on the helmet this year.
There will be a tribute game 1
of
absolutely. Some kind. It'll be wonderful. I can't wait.
Definitely deserved. So, and then the last thing I had on the docket, guys, September 20th, mark your calendars. This weekend, preseason hockey starts. So it is on the way. We are working our way toward opening night. I know the Blackhawks open, I believe, October 10th or October 11th, one or the other. So we're less than a month away from games counting. So I hope you guys are excited.
Yeah, we're less than 3 weeks away. Isn't it 3 weeks yesterday? Puck drop? Regular season?
You know what happens before the regular season? Don't say the preseason.
Training
fantasy hockey season.
Oh, okay.
Oh hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Yeah,
we're right in the
thick
of that.
Coming up. Yeah, we'll have to get the preview ready for that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do the
fantasy corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was Around the Rink, brought to you by our friends over at IronSteelThreads.com. Make sure to check them out. They got great hoodies, shirts, other apparel. Mute buttons, new designs every month, made in the USA, and you can use that promo code OldCity10 for 10% off, and that's OLDE City 10 for 10% off. Brock definitely missed that too, Graham, so that's really funny. But we are going to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. We are going to break down the 2025 Atlantic report cards from this past season, LOL. And we are going to start with the defending champs. Now he knows what we're talking about, which is great. The Florida Panthers. So just to give you the quick rundown, they were third in the Atlantic as far as the season finishing goes. They were 11th in the league. They had 98 points. Let's see here. Some key players they added over the offseason. They added Jeff Petrie and Danil Tarasov, the goaltender from Columbus. They did lose Nate Schmidt and backup goalie Vitek Vanek. They
Vanacek.
do, yes.
Vitek Vanacek.
Vitek Vanacek. Oh, that's fun. Vitek Vanacek. Okay.
Sam.
Yeah, Francisco. Exactly. They are projected to not have any cap space. They are actually projected to be 2.95 million over. And obviously, they do have some injury news coming up, which I actually had listed here. But somebody else want to take the reins? Florida Panthers, give me a report card on this.
Well, we'll first say the injury of Matthew Tkachuk from his torn adductor muscle and sports hernia that he suffered at the Four Nations.
Yeah.
So
It's
up until
crazy.
January, I think we know how they're going to become cap compliant, obviously. But when it comes to report cards, you can't not give the Stanley Cup champions an A. They're a dynasty. They just got to get in. They are built for the playoffs. From the goaltending to the defense to the forwards. Acquiring Seth Jones is a great move. So the office is a great play, or they're definitely all in on getting this team to be the dynasty they are. Brad Marchand as well. A+.
Yeah. They kept Aaron Ekblad, yeah?
They
Yes.
kept everyone.
That's
Everyone
crazy.
has been kept.
They can't keep getting away with this. Like,
They can.
It's
And
absolutely fucking
They
ridiculous.
signed for term.
Yeah.
I mean, what else is there to say? The fact that we've already spent more than 2 minutes on this, like, this is the easiest grade we could have handed out.
Oh,
I mean, I only continue to talk so Brock can realize when he is not muted.
nice.
I am mystified. Here, we're gonna do a little test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. We're not doing anything.
Yeah.
You can hear
Right.
me.
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you. Oh yeah.
Mentally noted. All right.
Well, just to give you some recap as well, the Panthers. I mean, just from a statistical standpoint, there were some outliers. They were 15th in goals for. They were 7th in goals against. They were 9th on the power play. They were in power play goals. Excuse me. They were 13th in power play percentage. They were 10th in the penalty kill. They were 3rd in shots, but they were 28th in shooting percentage, 9.5%, which is scary going into this year. Thinking like, oh my God, this team could score more, because there is plenty of room for improvement as far as that overall shooting percentage goes. So they were 6-0 in shootouts last year. The big disparity I found was that they were 27, 12, and 2 at home, and they were 20 and 19 and 2 on the road. So talk about the champs also. They were 17, 6, and 4 in 1-goal games last year. So just tells you how battle tested and proven they are. So yeah, to your point, I don't think there's any other grade other than an A+. I would go A+. I don't even know if you just go A. I don't think that's enough respect. You got to go A+, in my opinion.
I mean, as if to prove the regular season doesn't matter anymore.
Oh God, nice.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, a home
You
ice
get in.
doesn't either.
You
So
get the ticket.
Nope.
yeah. So
Home ice doesn't matter. Just get in.
no, fair enough.
It is fun to see how biased the playoff brackets are. Like when the fans submit them. Like, oh, this team won the Presidents. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
They don't spend enough money at Dairy Queen, and that's why the Panthers won. Because they spend all their
Mhm.
money at Dairy Queen. So
Yeah, if the Panthers don't have a fucking Dairy Queen patch on their helmets this
Right.
season, that's a fucking missed opportunity, man.
100, yes,
It's a missed opportunity.
100%. Man, that's perfect. Well, that's it. I think we're all going to go A's for the Florida Panthers. So we'll move on
A
to
plus.
A+. So we'll move on to an up and coming team. A lot of expectation on this team this coming year, and that is the Montreal Canadiens. So they did finish 5th in the Atlantic this past season. They were 17th in the league overall. That was good enough for the second wild card spot. They finished with 91 points. Some key additions they made in the offseason. They added Noah Dobson. They also added forward Zachary Bolduc, and they also obviously have Demidov coming over. He came over in the playoffs. They did lose Emil Heineman, and they lost Logan This is a French one. Milo.
Mayu.
Mayu.
There you go. As far as cap space is concerned, they are projected to be 4.4 million over, or a little bit more than 4.4 million over the cap. So watching them do some finagling is going to be interesting to see. But I mean, Graham, as far as report cards and expectations from what you saw this past season from the Canadians, what would you say?
They were one of the teams that, obviously missed the playoffs and were out of the playoffs for a long time, and they finally got in. So it has to be a good grade. But I can't give them that. I'll go B. Like I'm looking at their stats where they're 17th in goals for, 23rd in goals against. Like they're not really top half of the league in most of these categories. They're really hot and cold, and at the day they had the one extra point that got them in. Now I do think that this next year is going to be when they really take a step. So I think I'm going to remain at a B, but very optimistic for this year, more so than last year, and they still got in. And they gave the Capitals a good run as well.
No, they definitely did.
Like those were competitive games.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they're a Tom Wilson away.
I think they just
Josh
added
Anderson held his ground.
I think they just added what they needed. The more defensive depth, a full year of Demidov too. I think last season was an A. When you consider their expectations going into the year and how they weren't expected to make the playoffs, and they did. They weren't expected to look good against the Capitals, and not only did they not look good, they looked like they were supposed to be there. Like they absolutely looked like a playoff team. They didn't subtract. They got rid of Carey Price's contract. Now you get a full year of Dobson on the back end, which I would only imagine improves Lane Hudson's play, because I can't imagine they're going to force feed most of the power play to Dobson, which is the only way I could see that inhibiting Lane Hudson in any way, shape, or form. I think that last season was an A, and for every reason Graham gave, be excited going into this season. A lot to be excited about. Suzuki's another year older, and I'll say this: he is easily one of the most underrated. He is the new Barkov. He is criminally underrated. He is so good on and off the puck. So, and now he consistently over point per game. He is the new Barkov. He is the Barkov of 5 to 6 years ago. I'm not even joking.
Strong words.
I'm waiting for this power play to ignite.
It's going to be
once
crazy.
It does, it will be eternal.
Yeah.
They will not slow down.
Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov, Hudson. And then you're either
Laine as a weapon. You got Slavkovsky as net front. You got Dobson as like they have depth.
You could do a lot of different things.
Units.
You could do a lot of different things.
Yeah. Like, do you play two defensemen on that power play? You could.
It depends.
You really could.
They have flexibility.
Yeah.
It depends on what you're looking for or what you're trying to accomplish.
No, 100%.
We could get into that in another pod. Like
they were 7th in shooting percentage this past year too. They were 11.6% on the shooting percentage. So that might take a little bit of a step back. We'll see, obviously. But adding that talent, you would think that would stay the same or even get better. Honestly,
where did you get that number? That shooting percentage? Is that all situations?
Yes.
Okay.
That is straight off of hockeyreference.com, if you will.
Okay. Yeah, 7th in shooting percentage and only 17th in goals for.
Yeah.
So not generating a ton of shots.
They are 30th in shots. That is correct. That is a great assumption. They were 18-4 and 11 in 1-goal games, so they were kind of overtime merchants. That kind of definitely did help them get into the playoffs. But they were really good against their own division. They were 18-7 and 1 against the Atlantic this past season, which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the games that are going to really come down to it. And they did the most regulation wins they had in a month was 9, and that was in December, which really is not that many because I think on average you play about 16 to 18 games in a month. So just something to kind of keep your eye on with them being a young group and growing. And, we'll see. A lot of expectation in Montreal this season. So we'll definitely see what happens moving forward.
What's your grade?
I'm going to go A. I mean, I think to your point, the expectation was it was a bunch of kids. They weren't sure what they were going to get. Montembeault has been played, I think, better than what most people expected.
Much better than what people realize. Look at his stats.
Yeah, and I think they solidified. They weren't sure if they had a goalie, and I think now they feel pretty comfortable. And even Dobish, even though he's not there anymore, but he was pretty solid in the time that he was needed as well. So I'll meet you in the middle and go A. But
A minus
the
it is?
next team we had up. This might be my favorite one to talk about, honestly. The Boston
Oh.
Bruins. So the Boston Bruins are the next team up as far as report cards go. They were 8th in the Atlantic. They finished 28th in the league, 76 points overall. As far as key players added, they had a pretty busy offseason. They added Victor Arvidsson, Tanner Jeannot, Jean Corrali, and Michael Anisimov. They did not really lose any key players from our metrics, and they do have a little over $2 million left remaining in as far as cap space is concerned. So, Brock, as far as your report card for the Boston Bruins, where are we landing?
I think it's how dramatic do I want to be? So
Okay.
I'll start kind of where I'm at. Like going into the season, they definitely had expectations of, still being the Boston Bruins, making the playoffs, grinding their way to wins, 2-1, 3-2, but what is that not how they
I told you on this podcast, like one of the first episodes, that the Boston Bruins are not going to make the playoffs this last season.
Well, you've also had some other takes that I won't air my grievances with here.
Okay, yeah.
But to stay on point here,
Yes, please.
they started the season off shooting themselves in the foot with the Jeremy Swayman negotiation. I think that absolutely affected the rhythm of his season, not getting into training camp, and I think that absolutely compounded early on, sorry. And I just don't think they ever got the ball going downhill. They were always trying to push it uphill and couldn't get anything going in the right direction. Then, McAvoy and Lindholm go down. And this is where I have a trouble going full nuclear and giving them an F, because they did the right thing and punted. They sold off assets. They sold off Marchand, got a decent package for him. Now it is a first because the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. But that's beside the
Were you
point.
muted again? I didn't hear that.
No, the Florida Panthers won the Stanley Cup. I don't want to say it. I don't fucking have to. So I won't go full F, because I do think that they leaned into what they were appropriately. Yeah. And with getting McAvoy and Lindholm back, I think they're going to be better than people realize this year. It's funny, Graham brought up fantasy. We're going to talk a lot of Boston Bruins in the fantasy corner early. They, I think, are getting wildly slept on. So all of this to say, I'm going to go D+, C- ish is where I think I'm going to land. So,
okay.
Anything I didn't touch on, Graham?
I would just say the Charlie Coyle thing.
Oh, that's right.
They sold him off to Colorado. But go ahead, Graham.
Yep.
No, I think everything you said is right. I just don't think this offseason they've really gotten what was needed. Because, McAvoy got hurt, Lindholm got hurt, but that was at the end of the year. Like, they were still in a bad spot with them on the team. And they've acquired Arvidsson, Jeannot, Corrali. Like, these are all depth NHLers. Like, they are still good players, but they are not big contributers.
We also aren't doing a good enough job saying how bad that Tanner Jeannot contract is. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
That is rough. Yeah.
The only reason it's not an F is because the awareness of the season they had and their willingness to pull the trigger and sell.
Yeah.
It can't be an F for that reason.
It's D-. It is barely above an F. Like, C is out of the question for me.
And the only thing worse than that Tanner Jeannot contract is if a team were to give up 5 draft picks to acquire him for some reason. That would be the only thing that I could think of that would be worse than that.
No way. Contract. No team's stupid enough to do that.
No
team.
Especially not in a pinch, rushing around and trying to acquire him for whatever
Definitely
reason.
Definitely
not. Not at all.
Don't Google that, sir. You'll trust me, especially if you're a Lightning fan. Don't.
Yeah, especially if you live in the state of Florida. Don't Google it. I think I'm getting talked into a C-. I really am. I'm curious to see how I know, right? I'm curious to see their new head coach too, Sturm, right? Nico Sturm. I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm still stuck on that fact. I think Graham brought this up in one of our other episodes, that like, the whole international presence that they're trying to build with this team. I think that's a fascinating concept to kind of develop I guess the organization around and the team. McAvoy obviously I think is a bigger loss when he went down than Lindholm is. And I mean, to your guys' point, they punted when they needed to punt. They were 13, 25, and 3 on the road last year. And in the last 3 months of the season, guys, they had 8 regulation wins. That's it.
Yeah, C minus.
Yeah. So they were 14 and 23 in games decided by 3 goals or more, by the way. So they got blown out quite a bit. I think that kind of points back to that whole Swayman situation, which if you listen to one of our very first episodes, somebody on this podcast mentioned that, hey, it's your goalie's not in training camp. That's a bad thing. So
I have no idea who said that.
I don't either. We'll have to go back and check the tape. So, but I think with the acquisitions that they decided to do and pull the trigger on, I still think they could have got more from Marchand. So maybe I will lean D. C. No, I'm going to go C minus. I'm not going to waffle. I'll go C minus here. So, but I think to your point, they will have a nice comeback. I see them like at best maybe a wild card team is probably the ceiling right now.
I don't think they make the playoffs.
No, not even that. Okay, that's interesting.
Maybe. I wouldn't bet on it. That's all. Okay. It's possible. I don't think it's likely.
Okay. Well, how about this next team up then? Because it's put up or shut up time for this next team. How about the Detroit Red Wings?
I was going to say it has to be the Red Wings.
Yes. They finished 6th in the Atlantic last season. They were 21st in the league. It's good enough for 86 points. As far as key players that were added in the offseason, they added obviously John Gibson between the pipes, and they also added Mason Appleton. Key players lost. They did trade away Peter Mrazek. They do have a little over $12 million in cap space remaining. So just something to kind of keep an eye on as we move closer to that deadline. But Graham, what's the final verdict? Is this the put up? This has got to be the put up year, right? I mean,
I feel like there's not a lot of mediocre grades in this division. I feel like it's kind of boom or bust. And the Red Wings, I mean, we've talked about Yzerman a lot. I think he is out of slack on his rope. I got to give a bad one here. I'm going to talk some stats and just try and see if a grade pops into my head exactly. But the good thing with Detroit is they finally got a number 1 goalie in John Gibson. Decisions Yzerman made in the past with acquiring Reimer, Mrazek, they have like 4 goalies deep, and you just ask yourself why. So now they have John Gibson. Hopefully they use John Gibson as a number 1, as long as he performs to what every team hoped John Gibson would be when they tried to acquire him for the last 7 years. But I mean, the Red Wings.
I know he's been trade bait his whole career. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
The Red Wings have just been not bad. So the impressive thing in Detroit is their power play. They had the second best power play percentage, second in power play goals, but they're 22nd in goals for. So they can't score 5-on-5 for shit. And most of the games 5-on-5, you're going to lose games that way. And it's just not addressed. They have good players. They have Kane, Larkin, DeBrincat, and now they have
a good
your younger guys in Raymond coming up. Like, it's promising, but it's not showing to the scorecard.
Yeah.
So the Yzer plan's dead. I'm sorry, it is dead. You go on to sign Frank Nazar to a $46.13 million contract.
Frank Nazar?
Which
Nazar's in Chicago.
Yeah.
Why is this? Oh, hold on. That's right. Why is this? I'm reading this here. Yeah, that should not be there.
I was going to say, you've wrote something incorrect.
Someone wrote the wrong thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do have $12 million in cap space. I don't think they're going to spend it. I think they're not going to be in a position to spend it this year.
Ooh.
I think it's a D. Not as bad as Boston, just because the expectations, I think, were higher in Boston than Detroit. But no, I think this is what the Red Wings are.
I think you did spur an idea that I'm going to have a segment called Boom or Bust now for maybe the fantasy corner. Maybe that's something we can implement. But and Mort Sider is really good, by the way. I think you forgot to mention him in the list of players. But go ahead, Brock.
For me, they were entirely too mediocre for me to go that low. Like I think they missed their expectations by what a spot or two in the standings. So how many points would that be? Like 5 or 6? Like for you to say D makes me think it's basically a failure, which it was a failure, but not as extreme as you're making it sound. All this to say that I like the Gibson move, and I haven't said I like a lot of Yzerman's moves in recent memory. There's been a lot where you're left kind of squinting at the friggin' screen as you're reading. And all that to say, I'm going to go, I think, C minus, like just below an average-ish grade. I feel like that's appropriate given they're another year older. I do think that the young guys can take a step after this year. I mean, after this year, if they don't make the play, if they're not in at least a wild card spot by American Thanksgiving, I feel like Yzerman has to be gone. Like, how can you allow him to continue to make decisions that have led to this? Like Graham says the Yzer plan's dead. No, I think the Yzer plan's mediocre, and I think it's done exactly what it was set out to do: mediocrity. I don't think he's done anything over the top well in the last 4 years, minimum the last 4 years. Outside of drafting Seider, who I think he lucked into, I don't think they thought he was going to be this good. I love Seider. I have always loved Seider. I was one of his biggest supporters early on. And
he was also an off-the-cuff kind of a pick at the time, too.
He was a bit of a reach.
That was
a bit of a reach.
Yes, first pick.
That's what I mean. He was a bit of a reach. Like, people said that he was probably going to go in the early teens, and Yzerman jumped, and he was right. He was absolutely right. I'm going to say that was a great pick. But again, since then, like, we can go down like previous year's signings, like, but we're doing this year. So for me, it's a C minus, just a slight tinge below mediocrity.
Yeah. I think it's lower than that. I think you got to go D here. And there's a couple glaring things that I cannot get past. I think this team was carried they played really good for 1 month of the season, and that's really what kept them around. Other than that, they were mediocre. I mean, if you look at January, they were 10-3-1 in the month of January, and they didn't have more than 5 regulation wins after that. So they were just playing a bunch of 500 hockey, hanging around. They never really put their foot on the accelerator. Like, they had a chance in that stadium series because I think they played the Columbus back-to-back games.
Yeah.
They lost
both of them. They were a better team.
And they could have really cemented. Yeah.
Ifs and buts, candy and nuts.
Yeah, and they couldn't do anything. They were 22-25-3 last year against the Eastern Conference, which I think is a problem. They were 17-19-5 on the road, which, again, with a little bit of a veteran presence, I would expect them to play a little bit better than that over the course of a season on the road. They were also blown out a lot. They were 10-21 in games decided by 3 goals or more, which is tough. Hopefully John Gibson will help that. But yeah, it's ugly. To your point, Brock, Thanksgiving is kind of the benchmark that you have to follow, that if you're not in the playoff hunt by then, you're kind of dead. So I think this past season was a D. It's pretty close to an F for me, just because it's got to be put up or shut up time. Like, you brought this guy in. This is supposed to be Hockey Town. They haven't made the playoffs in a decade. Like, what are we doing?
This is what I'm saying. Yzerman can't be making decisions past Thanksgiving if they're not in a playoff spot.
No.
You cannot allow him to continue to make decisions.
No, 100%. Well, and actually, it's a great segue. So, speaking of the team that Yzerman came from, how about the team that traded for Tanner Jeannot? Anyway, how about the Tampa Bay Lightning we'll discuss here? So they were second in the Atlantic. They were 7th overall in the league with 102 points. Pretty good year. Some key players they added. They added Pontus Holmberg and Jacob Pelletier?
Nope.
No?
Pelletier.
Okay. They did lose Nick Perbix, which I do like on the back end. Unfortunately, he's gone. They do have a little over $1 million left in cap space. They were the highest scoring team last year. They had 292 goals for, which again was best in the league. They were 4th in goals allowed, 5th on the power play goals, 5th in power play percentage, 6th on the PK, 12 in shots, and 2nd in shooting percentage at 12.5. So as far as overall grades, Graham, where would you go for the Tampa Bay Lightning?
A minus. Again, it's
Okay.
boom or bust. It's got to be a good pick. There were a lot of incoming names this year, like Hagel, Gensel, and these guys performed.
They lost Sergachev.
They lost Sergachev, sure,
Yeah.
but I mean,
And
these
were
guys
better.
stepped in. Okay, you lose your captain in Stamkos, so you have a changing in the tide in the locker room, and the supporting cast guys outshine whatever kind of expectations they had, and they ran with it. So I think they're going to continue to be good for a long time. They still have the bones of the Hedman, the Kucherov, the Vasilevskis, but now these new guys can also join this team and make an impact. And we're not even talking about the guys that they picked up to make themselves stronger in Bjorkstrand, but ultimately they lost. So I can't go A plus. Even an A, I think, is a good grade here, just because the stats that they have are just that bright and shining.
Not when they lost.
But I will go A minus.
Okay.
I will echo almost 100% of that. The only thing I would change is B plus, because they lost in the first round, and I don't care who you lost to. You can take it from a Leafs fan, man. The amount of times that we lost to the team, you went to the cup final. Bullshit. Doesn't matter. You lost in the first round, and that matters. And
coming from
frankly,
you, I figured it would. You got a lot of experience in that.
Sure do. But yeah, they're a good team. I think that's why for me it's a B plus. But when they went against the Cup champs, the Florida Panthers, I don't know, man. They didn't really look in almost half of those games.
No, they were exposed.
Florida's a fucking wagon, man. It's a good team. And when you put a good team against a great team, sometimes the good team just doesn't look good enough. B plus.
How do we feel about that Isaac Howard trade?
Considering they got anything for him, I'd be pretty happy. I already forget what they got, but I remember thinking, "Wow, that's probably." No, it was another prospect. It was someone that they took. It was a defenseman, wasn't it? I'm sure I could find it if I Google it.
Jack Finley?
Huh?
Was it Jack Finley?
No.
No. Okay.
But like I said, the fact that they got something of value for him, considering he said he didn't want to sign there, crazy. Because I think,
which is just insane.
I think
Sam O'Reilly and a first round pick.
That's
there
it.
you go.
Not a first. He was a first.
Oh.
Yeah, not
Well,
and first.
that's Google AI.
I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'd be happy with it if I were a Tampa fan. I'd be happy with it.
No, that's fair. I would probably go A, more just based on A minus even.
You're
just
a homer.
based on.
You're a homer.
Well, I'm a homer, and just based on the. Well, but to your point, they got worked in the playoffs. I mean that series was never.
Nope.
It was never close. I mean, I guess technically technically Game 4 was close, and then Florida scores back-to-back goals or scores goals like 20 seconds apart to really kind of shut the door and end that series. But I guess moving forward and looking at it, their right wing is a little thin. Bjorkstrand's going to play third line apparently, or supposedly is what he's slated to. I mean, Vasilevsky's really good. The defense they really missed Sergachev this past year. I think just from from somebody to back up Hedman or just to run the second power play unit, because I believe Chernak was kind of the main guy running that second power play unit, or even McDonough, which is just going to be, I think, interesting moving forward. And just the overall age of the team, I think, is something that you got to really pay attention to too, because it's almost like a high school team where like they have, we've got 30 juniors coming up to our class, and all these guys are going to graduate and they're going to be gone. And it's like, okay, what's our team going to be like after that? So that's what's going to be interesting to me. Another blemish too, they were awful on the road last year. They were 18, 19, and 4 away from Tampa. So you would expect a team of that caliber to play a lot better. And they were 11, 12, and 3 inside their own division against the Atlantic last season. So they didn't play well against the East. They feasted on the Metro, by the way. They were 16, 3, and 5.
Everyone feasted on the Metro. Relax.
Yeah. And two of the big stats too, and just the way that their game scripts were going, they were 10, 9, and 8 in 1-goal games last year, but they were 30 and 9 in games decided by 3 goals or more. So they literally either lost in a nail biter or they blew you out. They blew the doors off of people. So it's just it's
Blew
just
them.
interesting. Yeah,
Blew them
exactly. It's just interesting to see, I guess, the disparities in styles. But I would go A. You've still got some good bones here. I'm not thinking cup anymore like I was, maybe a couple seasons ago. I don't think it's there anymore. I really don't.
Why?
What do you mean why? You saw what just happened to them in the playoffs this past season.
Okay.
Like,
So all you
I
have to do is avoid the best team in the league. That's possible.
Or
Yeah.
be
They're
the
not
best
gonna.
team in the league.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
okay, what are they away from convincing you they're a cup contender still?
I think the style of play that they have is
Defense.
no longer. Yeah, I was gonna say this. They're not physical enough anymore. They were like at the bottom of the league in hits per game.
So you think? So you
the
just.
Cal-
So you do. You just think they're old. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I
I
just
think they
they're
give up too
aging
much
out.
space.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, that's
yeah,
fair.
I could get behind that. But okay. Okay. So
Like,
yeah,
I think they're
fire
too
John
vast-
Cooper. That's what you're saying.
No,
Fire John
I-
Cooper.
He should have gone to the Ducks. I was all on that train. I was like, yes, John Cooper needs to get out of town, go to Anaheim, and win a cup. I think that'd have been awesome. Like I'm a homer, but like I still think that'd have been great to see John Cooper go to Anaheim and work with that young core and everything in between. But the last thing I'll say about this too, I think they're too Vasilevsky reliant. Like they literally. I don't want to say like they put him in positions that it's like he has to be the hero, but I guess Florida does kind of do that with their style of play, but with Bob. But I don't know. I'm not sure if this is a cup winning team anymore. And I hope no one's picking up on like the reverse punt I'm doing right now. Like this team can't win a Stanley Cup. They can't do it. They just can't. They're not going to do it this year. They're not going to do it anytime soon. So we'll take, yeah, I'm going to do an A or an A minus, and we're going to move on to the next team, which is the Ottawa Senators. So speaking of up and coming and exciting, where's your cousin at when we need him? But the Ottawa Senators were fourth in the Atlantic. They finished 12th in the league overall, 97 points. As far as some key players they added Jordan Spence and Lars Eller. They did lose a couple of players as well, including Travis Hamonic, right? Hamonic? Yeah. Adam Gaudette and Anton Forsberg, which in my opinion is a big loss. As far as remaining cap space, it's right around 4.3 million. Brock, overall grade for the Senators this past season?
I feel like they're the version. They're the team that Detroit thought they were. And
Okay,
for
I like
for
that.
those reasons, like you could just copy and paste what I said about Detroit, but accent aigu, the positive end of it, it's just more of a positive slang on it. So for those reasons, I think B plus. Like they achieve their expectations, make the playoffs. They look good against the Leafs. I say they didn't look bad. They were definitely in over half those games. There's only one I think they got their teeth kicked in, if I remember correctly. I think it was game 2 or game 3. One of those 2 or 3 games in the start. And outside of that, they were competitive. They pushed back the whole way, and they didn't do any big swings so far this year. I like the Jordan Spence trade. I think that really, really stabilizes their second pair D. I assume that's where he lands. Not a whole lot to get mad at. I don't think you need to worry about the loss of Forsberg. You've got Allmark. You're assuming he's your starter. He's going to give you 55-ish games. You just need to be, I think, 500 in the other ones. You're probably back in the playoffs. That being said, the Atlantic is a gauntlet. So we'll see. But yeah, B plus.
Nick Jensen is slated to play with Thomas Chabot on the second line. It looks like Jordan Spence is going to be playing third line, according to Daily Faceoff.
That's fine. Like I said, he's an NHLer. He could be in a pinch on your top pair. I think he's better suited on a second pair, so he should be great in the third pair.
Okay. Graham?
I'm going to go with a B. I think the emergence of Jake Sanderson into the NHL now, I think he's 22-ish. And right now, he played great hockey last year. The back end, it was always Chabot. Now I feel like Sanderson's really pushing, and he'll eventually overcome it. But we never mentioned Cousins for
yes.
For
love
Norris.
That trade for Norris. I
Great
love that trade.
Great
It's a
trade.
great trade. Yeah. For both teams. For
both teams.
Yeah.
I do think it favors Ottawa, but I do think the fresh start for Norris is good, but Norris goes to Buffalo, so Buffalo and good don't really work. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a B. They finally made the playoffs. Normally, they struggle in the middle of the year. Like, they start out hot, then they struggle, and then once they're out, they win, and they're like, oh, it could have been our year. But no, this year they were in, and they were never really at risk of losing the spot either.
Yeah.
They look the part. They look like
yeah.
a playoff team. They
Yeah.
look
I mean,
the part.
At one point, we were talking about in this podcast that they might jump Florida and bump Florida down to a wild card spot the way they were playing.
Yeah.
If some butts are candy and nuts.
So, okay.
No, I think they have the goaltender they can lean on as well. They're still a very young team, but I don't think the guys they need, like their impact players, are what they are. I don't think that there's a big leap for them to go from here. So I think this is just what the Ottawa Senators are. They're a hard team to play against, and they can put up numbers. And now the fact that they have a goalie too, and 2 defensemen they can lean on, I think it's a very dependable, strong team.
You're going to want to watch this. This goes for every team, so don't think I'm just saying it about the Senators. This, what I'm about to say, applies to every team. They are one of the teams that if they can somehow land one of those big-name UFAs next year that I think every single team should be planning for, I think that they can go from where Graham has them. He's right. This is what they are, but it doesn't feel like it's quite enough to win the big one, to win the full show. I think that they're one stud UFA away from bridging that gap really, really quickly. Imagine you put Eichel on that team. I mean, I think they're cup contending immediately. Like, immediately. There's no reason for me to think otherwise if they were to land someone like an Eichel.
I think that this is a team that's built for the playoffs too. Like, don't get me wrong, but this team was full of players that have very little to no playoff experience.
Yeah.
So I think if they make it again next year, they can really lean on the shortcomings they had this past year and use it to get better.
For sure.
No, 100%. They definitely need a healthy year out of Allmark. He kind of battled that injury bug last year a little bit. I think that's why Forsberg was so, I guess, intricate in their success, because he really did hold down the fort. I think they had the most shutouts combined between the 2 goalies out of the whole league last year. They were first in power play goals, by the way. They led the league in power play goals at 64, but they had the 11th best power play percentage. So that's
it's because they always lead the league in penalties drawn. You know why?
Yeah.
Because Brady Tkachuk exists, and they even up calls. There, I said it. I said it.
I thought Tim Stutzel was a diver. I thought that's why.
Hey, you said that, not me.
Oh, okay.
You said that, not me.
Okay, gotcha. I'll keep that in mind.
I didn't say I didn't think it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm with you, Graham. I think, I kind of echo a lot of what you said. I think this team is pretty solid top to bottom. There's not a glaring weakness or a glaring hole.
No.
Obviously the ceiling is not very high, but the floor is not very low. Just some other stats too I thought was interesting. They were 27, 11, and 3 at home. Again, they struggled on the road, so like some of these other better teams we talked about. They were 18, 19, and 4 on the road last season. They did tie for the most regulation wins the last 2 months of the season at 16, and that was tied with St. Louis. So they did get hot at the right time, just like you said. They got hot down the stretch, and they just didn't fumble it away beforehand. And it's just going to be interesting. They were 22, 6, and 7 in 1-goal games last year. So I think to see that experience build up to another year and go from there, and I think just to finally get the monkey off their back, to finally put a year together to get to the playoffs, I think it's just going to be build dividends for this team moving forward. So I would go B. I wouldn't go all the way to an A. If they would have maybe gotten out of the first round, maybe we'd be talking A or A+ even. So, but no, very, very solid overall season. I'd be excited if I were a Senators fan, and we'll see what happens. We will transition to a team that's even more excited to hopefully get back into the playoffs, and that would be the Buffalo Sabres. So the Sabres finished 7th in the Atlantic, 26th overall in the league. They finished with 79 points. As far as some key players added, they added Michael Kesserling and goaltender Alex Lyon. They did lose, obviously, J.J. Peterka in the Utah trade, if you will. And they do have a little over $13 million remaining in cap space. So definitely a team that could be a buyer or a seller at the deadline, depending on how things are going. But Graham, as far as a 2025 report card, what would you say for the Buffalo Sabres?
It's so hard to rate Buffalo because they're always a team where you're like, they can't be bad again. And they just are. and you ask yourself why, and it's a different reason every year. But they're just bad. Like they have talent. All right, so you have Paterka, who is their second best, or second highest point guy. All right, we're gonna trade him. All right, he's 22 years old. He's your second highest offensive weapon. Now we're gonna trade him. Like, what kind of message does that send to a fan? Like, I get if there's locker room issues and you have your players' backs, but as a fan of this franchise, you got to expect success at some point, right?
Unfortunately, they are
It's-
never going to experience success until the owner stops caring about the Buffalo Bills so much and pays a little bit of attention to the redheaded stepchild that is the Buffalo Sabres. That owner is rotten, that upper management group is rotten to the core until something fundamentally changes about the way that team is run, and I think it starts with a new owner. I do not see this team ever finding any modicum of meaningful success. They're running back Lindy Ruff. Why? They're running back the yes man that is, I forget the GM's name, but I know he's a yes man. He just says yes to the owner. When he took over, he cut like all of his scouts and they went digital. How's that gone for them? Let's go look at their drafts. Ironically, their first round picks have been very good. You know what the problem is?
they have a lot of them.
They're all playing for different teams now, and they're all winning cups
Yeah, I was going to
on
say they've all
other
got-
fucking teams. It's sad. It's depressing. I am so sorry. If you're a Buffalo Sabres fan listening to this, and like I said, if you're listening to us, you're a diehard hockey fan, which means you must be a diehard Sabres fan. I am so sorry because you do not deserve this. You look at them on paper and go, why? Why? Why are they bad? It doesn't make any sense. If you look at them on paper directly next to Detroit and Ottawa, how far off are they?
Not very.
Not very. Like, if
Yeah.
anything, I'd argue Buffalo
talking-
looks better on paper. Darlene Power? Are you joking? Sider's good. He's not as good as Darlene. I don't even know. Well, he's probably a little better than Power, but like I said, this is what I'm saying. Like, it is mind-numbingly frustrating to watch year in and year out. And it was the same thing with the Coyotes. It was the same thing with the Atlanta Thrashers. All these teams that have rotten ownership, it funnels down. It all starts at the top. And it's so crystal clear to me that this guy just loves his football. Fucking classic American. Just loves the pigskin getting thrown around and watching guys tumble into each other every 30 seconds while we got to wait 5 minutes to watch the ball get thrown again. That's a hockey podcast.
Sounds like Brock saw his first football game.
No, I'm 1-3 in fantasy football to start this year, though. In case that wasn't obvious.
Nice.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely talking inches, not feet here, in the difference of like talent
Yes.
between these teams, between
Yes.
the Sabres and some of those teams that do contend for those wild card spots. Yeah. I mean, looking at it on paper, between Tage Thompson, Jason Zucker, Josh Norris, Alex Tuck, I mean, Danforth is now out on the fourth line too. He's a solid NHLer. Like, there's just so much talent on this team. It just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, their right-handed defensemen are they're sick. It's sickening.
Their asset
So-
management is so bad.
Yes, that's
If
probably
you
a good
draft
way to
them,
put it.
you're in the lineup the next couple months. Like,
Yeah.
that's the time you have to get NHL ready. And I don't think that's fair to put on the kids that get drafted. There's very few that can do it at that age to be an impact in the NHL. And I just don't think that they can learn that fast. I think the NHL is so fast that their brains don't allow them to learn. They're just kind of in that moment and, sink or swim, and no one swims in Buffalo. So what the fuck are they going to do?
Because the ice is frozen because it's cold.
I was going to say because the lake is frozen. Damn you.
I'm
Yeah.
over F.
F.
Yeah.
Wow. They
It's
do
deserved.
need a better year out of UPL, out of Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. He did not play very well last year.
They need
He
an owner
started
that
out
gives a
okay, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But I think that's where it lies. I mean, if you look at some of their stats too, I mean, they were 10th in goals for, but they were 30th in goals allowed. So this team can put the puck in the net. They were 24th in power play goals, 24th in power play percentage, 23rd in the PK, 20th in shots, but they were 6th in shooting percentage. They shot 11.6% as a team last year. So it's just interesting. They were 23-15 at home. They were 13-24-4 on the road. They were 16-8-7 in 1-goal games, and then they were 13-19 in games decided by 3 goals or more. So it's just
I should have had you
big mess.
I should have had you get the stats for their last like 15 games because they probably went 15-0. They always do. They're like way out of the playoffs, and all of a sudden you get to the end of the season. Oh, they didn't miss by that.
They're
much.
frisky.
They didn't miss by that much. Yeah, because when they were eliminated, they won every game. Once they were mathematically eliminated, they won every game.
No, I could definitely. Yeah, it
Moving
does
on.
definitely.
I am over this.
The MO.
I'm over this.
All right. Well, I
speaking
would probably
of disappointments.
Yes, I was gonna say we did save the best for last here, and the last disappointment we'll go with is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Maple Leafs did finish first in the Atlantic last season. That was 4th overall in the league. They had 108 points. As far as key players added, they added Matthias Maselli, Michael Pizzetta, and then Nicholas Waugh. Yeah, the man that is going to take over the shadow of Mitch Marner. And then also key players lost. Speaking of Mitch Marner, he was lost, and then Max Pacioretty left town as well, which he was clutch in the playoffs to say the least. They do have right around $5 million in cap space remaining, so I'll say Brock for a minute. But Graham, what were your thoughts on the report card for the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2025?
Not good. Not fail by any means, but I'm gonna say C-.
Okay.
1 for the reactive Brock. But I mean, you finally get rid of someone of the core 4 that's proven to not work, and it's for nothing. He walks. And then what do you do? Well, not walks. I guess you get Nick.
Waugh is he's not nothing.
He's not much. Pacioretty actually, I thought, was impactful for the Leafs. Didn't expect that coming into the year. Michelli, I do like. He had a very bad year last year. But besides that, his playmaking has shown pretty well at the NHL level. The season themselves were very good. Like, they led the Atlantic. So they're obviously a good team, but their stats aren't that sparkling. They're not bad. They're all top third. But for all top third to be first in the Atlantic, when you compare to what Tampa's stats were, I still would have given the edge to Tampa. So, C.
Candidating? Go ahead. Floor is yours.
That is awfully kind of you. That is very, very generous, catering to our Leafs fans, who I'm sure are just fucking thrilled with what I'm about to say. It's an F. It's
an F.
An F.
Oh, okay. Man. Someone burned his Mitch Marner jersey.
It's an F. And I think it starts with Brendan Shanahan. We're going to start there. You allowed. He's part of this year. I'm going to say he was there this year. Relax. You allowed Marner's no move to kick in. Now, I know that was last year, and that's when I really started, kicking this can, saying, why the fuck are we not acting like this is the problem? That's when I really started to hate this. And it snowballs from there. Matthews has a down year. They send him to Germany to, visit that specialist for his injury, but he comes back and he plays, so we think he's fine, but he's clearly fucking not. And then we hear that, oh, no, I got the summer off now. I'm confident I'll be back this year at 100%. Oh, well, if you had just taken what was that, 4 months from when you went to visit Germany, that's the start of the playoffs. Oh, so you're saying you would have been 100% for the playoffs? You just didn't play the games that didn't fucking matter in the regular fucking season? Interesting. That's an interesting choice. Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely not an F. Definitely not an F. Let's keep him at fucking 50% for the playoffs. Good job. And where do you want me to go? Like, what have we not said on this podcast about what the Leafs have done? How did they lose? Like, they lose
in the second round. So don't say like every
time. Every fucking year they lose.
And they had a 2-0 lead.
They looked like fucking kittens against fucking Panthers. Like, it's fucking pathetic.
They should have
No,
won
they
that
did
series.
not. No,
They-
they did not.
They pushed the champs to the brink. Like they led.
This is someone who hasn't watched Game 5 at least one more time since it happened. I'll tell you that. That's a man who hasn't watched Game 5 since it fucking happened.
Oh, okay.
Like no. Go watch Game 5 and then go watch Game 7 and tell me they were anywhere fucking close to that team. It's a joke. I'm so glad that Shanahan's gone. I don't know how to feel about Tree Living yet. I will say this. He knows how to build a decor. I've loved that decor this year more than I have in years past. He's doing something right there. But again, like when expectations have always been, they've been Cup since 2018, 19, they've been Cup expectations.
Well, since 1968, yeah.
That's low hanging fruit even for you. It's to me, it's absolutely asinine for them to get a grade above an F when there are so few positive things to take from this year. So few. And the negatives are gigantic. Like, I do not know how to describe to you how big the loss of Marner for nothing essentially is.
Well, it should have been nothing.
It should have been nothing. It 100% should have been nothing. I don't know how to convince myself. Like, you saying C, like you could maybe twist my arm and like, oh, no, okay, D, maybe, but even then, no. Like, it's sad, pathetic. I'm so glad that we're getting a new vibe going into this year.
I definitely think you're biased. That they led the Atlantic.
Right, it's the toughest division in hockey
in points. For the Leafs, making it out of the first round is meaning the second round's the Cup final, and they got to Game 7 there. They would have needed a lot of calls and good bounces to even make that seventh game competitive, but they got there.
Only team to take Florida to 7 games.
And yeah, you finally get rid of one of the core 4 in Marner. Like, all right, that's the problem, but we should have done it years ago. So what could we have gotten? What could we have gotten? That's what they spent their money on. Like, this is what you're going to see.
As if to prove my point.
Member of that.
So they're morons. It doubles down
you're
on
mad
that.
at Shanahan.
I'm mad at the idiocracy of it.
You're mad at the core 4. That's gone.
How sweet would it have been to trade Marner for Rantanen, though? Like, how awesome would that have been?
It would have been awesome. It never was going to happen. If they wanted to move him, it had to be before the season started. And Shanahan never once even considered that. That was never an option in Shanahan's mind. And for me, F.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to go C. And I think this is why I'm going to go C. You saw that, and I saw a systematic shift in the way that they play and win hockey games. Like, Berube came in, they became a more defensive team. Like, they started to lean more on their defensive goaltending. Like, Woll was really good in the regular season. Like, he was good in the playoffs. Stolars was great.
Stolars was top 5 in almost any goal metric you looked at.
So, I mean, and you look at their record in 1-goal games. They were 22-4-4. They were the best team in the league last year in 1-goal games. I know we talked about it a couple times throughout the season, but that just the systematic change, they adapted a new way and a new style to play hockey and to win games, and it did translate to a little bit more success in the playoffs. So, I don't think it's a complete failure. Yes, is losing one of the best players on your team for literally nothing a giant blemish on your record? Yes, absolutely. It's going to be.
According to you guys, it just makes them average.
Well, but it's. Well, I'm just going by their success. I mean, they still got.
Well, it's a holistic grade from start of last season to.
And I like the direction that it is going in. Other than, like I said, losing Marner for Waugh. But hey, Waugh could turn into an all-time player. We don't know. We don't know yet. We could look back 5 years from now and be like, wow, I can't believe that Vegas gave up Waugh for literally Mitch Marner. Like, what were they thinking?
I'm putting a blank check in front of you. You can put whatever dollar value you'd like on it. Waugh will not be. Yeah, it will still bounce. Yeah, it will still bounce. And I'll bet you anything that Nick Waugh is nothing more than a great third-line center. And that's what he is. That's not nothing. It's not nothing.
Right.
But that's all he's supposed to be.
That's all he's supposed to be. Don't expect more. That's what he is.
So I'm gonna go
Sweet.
see, and if you think about it that way, though, that means that the team has more of a defined roles, and everybody kind of knows what their responsibility is, as opposed to like, oh, these four guys are going to do all the work, and we're going to
You
have
know,
to
right?
figure it out.
God damn it, guys. You're right. They fucking lost the same way they do every year. That's average. That's what we expected. C.
Exactly.
There it
That's
is.
exactly.
That's
there
it.
it is.
C.
Perfect. Speaking of C's, we're going to get into that now. So this is this is In the Bin. It's brought to you by our friends at warlordbeardoil.com. Make sure to use the promo code OldSports for 15% off all the beard oils, washes, soaps, and more. You can tell them that our friends at Old City Sports sent you, and we'll get into the negative part. So, Brock, since you want to be negative, we'll keep the train rolling. Who are you putting in the bin this week?
Well, I'm not sure who to put in the bin here, but I know. Let's talk it out and let's see what we think. Do you put the Minnesota Wild in the bin or Kirill Kaprizov in the bin?
No, I was putting the Wild in the bin.
I think it depends on how you want to look at it, because on one hand, they didn't sign their guy, but on the other hand, Kaprizov, what the fuck? That's $128 million, and you'd be the highest paid player in the league by $2 million. Like, I mean, and you're a winger. Like, Draisaitl plays center. He does play some wing, but he plays center. I don't know. Like, so I guess you pick your poison. One of them's in the bin. But yeah, in case you live under a rock, last weekend, Kirill Kaprizov reportedly turned down. Well, not reportedly, he did. I was going to say the Wild GM got on a podcast like the next day and said, I don't know how that got out. And everyone's like, well, see, that's not true. I'm like, hey, he didn't say they didn't offer that contract. Go listen to his words back. They 100% offered him that contract and he turned it down. So I'll be curious to see how that situation plays out. And it feeds into my narrative of, guys, these major names haven't signed yet. McDavid's not signed yet. Eichel's not signed yet. Kaprizov's not signed yet. I know I'm missing one of the other big ones, but every single day this kicks along, it looks even more crazy the closer we get to free agency next year. Like I said, if you're not planning for one of them to get to the market, you should be fired on the spot as a GM. On the spot if you're not planning for this. You have to plan for the possibility.
I saw one of the possible landing spots if he doesn't re-sign was the Sharks. I think that would be sick. I think that would just be.
That's a classic case of what I said about Eichel with Ottawa. Bang. They are immediately playoff team.
Well, they would need a goalie.
We'll say contenders.
They would need a goalie first. Let's
but who's better? If you're taking the money and it's the same contract that Minnesota just sent you, why would you go to San Jose?
Maybe he sees a better.
First of all, the color scheme's better.
Who's going to be better in 5 years?
No. Can you win in those 8 years? Well, I guess it would be 7 in that case. That's the question he's answering. Is it about the money? Because if it's about the money, no one can offer him more than the Wild. They can offer him 8 years.
Right.
If it's about the money, based on what he just did, it ain't about money. So my brain thinks, well, it's probably about winning. And if it's about winning,
he's going to go to San Jose.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Bro, they're going to be – we said they were going to be scary in 2 years without him. What does that mean if they add him? That makes them scary immediately, in my opinion.
He must be a very patient superstar.
I mean, I think you're being very facetious and very tongue-in-cheek here for, I guess, content reasons, because I think that makes them very, very good very, very quickly.
No. He makes any team good quickly.
Yeah. That's a fair point. That is a fair point.
But here's this to say. I wouldn't be saying this about Chicago. You could add him to Chicago. They're a better team. They're not a fucking playoff team. Not even fucking close.
I don't think I don't think San Jose is a playoff team with him next season.
Well, not next season. The season after, Grant. The season after. We're gonna have a year's worth of information about the Sharks. What if the Sharks finish? I don't know. Still in the bottom third, but let's say they're like 20th. No, sorry, 23rd. For you to say that they're not like even that's crazy.
It's 9 spots higher than what they just finished.
That's 9 spots higher than what they just finished, and they're like 7 away from the playoffs. I don't know, man. Like I think
it's hard to finish any lower.
Nice, good point. All right. Well, who are you putting in the bin then?
I won't put them last year. San Jose's not last place. No way.
God. Okay. Graham.
I am going to put the UCLA Bruins football team in the bin.
Oh boy.
So they actually paid $1.2 million for the University of New Mexico to come play at their stadium. And the Lobos walked away with a 35-10 victory and
Nice.
causing the Bruins to fall to 0-3 on the season.
Yeah.
One, God, there's a lot of money in college football. And two, I hope they bet on themselves to lose so they can recoup some of it. Like, goddamn.
That's an expensive loss. That is
Like,
for
how
sure.
can they pay these players if they're paying these other teams and still losing to them?
Yeah. No, it's a Mountain West school. I think it was the first time that New Mexico has beaten a Power 5 team and since like the 80s, I think. So,
I mean, that
yeah.
should be a C for them, but it has to be a win for the Bruins.
Yeah. No, 100%. Definitely not a good look. Not a good look.
Not
for
a
the
good year for
Bruins.
the Bruins.
No, and they
Sports in
traded
general.
quarterbacks with Tennessee, and it just has not worked out in their favor. But that's a good bin. That's a good bin. I had Xavier Leggett in the bin, and he is but Brock knows who this is. He is a wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. But he was the first player in NFL history, for all the wrong reasons. He finished this past Sunday's game with 1 catch for -2 yards on 8 targets. So he had 8 chances to catch the football, caught it once for -2 yards, and he was the first player in NFL history to have that many passes thrown to him and to end with negative yardage. So,
Oh no!
yeah, talk about being the butt of the
your
jokes.
all-time backfires.
Yeah, the Panthers aren't good. Xavier didn't have a good game, and that's just a tough look all the way around. So
I'm sorry to hear that, Mister
Yeah.
Leggett. Is that how you say it?
Leggett, yeah. Hope you didn't have him on your fantasy team like Brock here, but
I did not.
Yeah, thank God. And that was in the bin, brought to you our friends at Warlord Beard Oil. Check out warlordbeardoil.com. Use that promo code OLDSPORTS. That's OLDE Sports for 15% off. Let them know your friends at Between the Benches sent you. And then we'll wrap up this puppy the way we normally do. We get positive. We're going to hand out the C, and this is brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek. You can download the SeatGeek app and use the promo code Old City Sports Network. That's OLDE City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase. Like I said, hockey season is right around the corner. Use that promo code to get you some tickets to maybe opening night, whatever the case may be. Brock, who are you giving your C to?
Now, this might be the easiest C I give out.
Nice. Okay.
Super Troopers 3 is in production. Ayo.
Nice.
That's about as exciting as it gets if you're a fan of good comedy. Am I right?
Okay.
Am I right? And
Yeah.
I almost took, I'll be honest, I almost took the third one.
Comedy and comedy and
I do not. Is that actually what their tour is called, Graham?
Absolutely.
That's fucking incredible. That's fucking. I did not know that. I thought I misread it at first. I'm like, wait a minute.
All right. So what Brock is referring to
Yes,
is
go ahead,
my
Graham.
C,
Yes.
and that goes to the Missionary Impossible tour, which results in Blink-182,
Great name.
Drug Church, and Alkaline Trio. So obviously, I'm a big Blink-182 fan. I was there last night. It is just fun to see them do their thing. Like I had to look it up how old they were, because fucking Travis Barker's still banging away. He's 49 years old, and he is the youngest member in that band still. So yeah, they can still kill it on stage. It's fun to hear all the tracks they got. And Alkaline Trio was the singer that stepped in for Tom DeLonge when he stepped away from the band. So it's cool that they still have a relationship like that where they can tour and perform together. So yeah, it's a hell of a show and hell of a name. Missionary Impossible.
Hell yeah. I mean, AC/DC's out there doing it, and they're in their 80s. I mean, I think there was like a viral video for all the wrong reasons, but they were like in their 80s out there still rocking. So just think, Graham, you got 40 more years of this.
Dude, that's a dream.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
Dude, there was not a word I did not sing in that entire set list.
Okay. Wow. Biggest Blink-182 fan we got. Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, we'll wrap this puppy up. I'm going to go Gabriel Landeskog is getting my C this week. He is healthy. He's gearing up for the upcoming season. He was talking to reporters the other day at training camp. But it is the first time he's healthy in training camp since 2021. So
Hey, yes.
It's been a long 4 years for the man. He did make his triumph return last year in the playoffs. He did score a goal in that series, even though they got bounced in 7. But I think it's just good to have him back in the game. I think is he a lock for a comeback player of the year? Do they give that in hockey?
For
I
that,
can't remember.
No, you're thinking of the son of a bitch. What's that award?
It's not Ted Lindsay, is it? No,
that's the best player vote about the
yeah.
years. Oh fuck me. We all know what.
Yes, yeah. I was gonna say
he's probably got a strong case. Yeah, he's probably got a strong case.
Well, I think he was nominated last year for it, right? Because it was him and Monahan and somebody else that I can't blank on. But
he's another one for fantasy purposes, guys. If he's sitting there with one of your last, like, I don't know, depends on how deep your draft is, I guess. If he's sitting there around 150-ish, 140-ish, I'd start considering it.
Let's pay attention to preseason. If he starts looking like he can't skate and he's
if he's on that top power play, man, like, I'm all over it. I'm all over Gabe Landeskog if he's on that top unit.
Yeah,
all over him.
But no, definitely good to see him back. And again, we're right around the corner from the hockey starting. We got the preseason coming this weekend. Yeah, good, real excited. So
we got. What do we got? We got the Leafs episode, and then we got our previews, and then we're back in. Okay.
And then we'll do some college, and then we'll do probably some fantasy. We might just do a whole fantasy episode if you want.
We could.
Yeah. So we'll break down maybe positions and maybe some guys that you like.
Just general, general recommendations, like some things.
If anybody's listening to this too, hit us up on social media if you want something specific you want to hear.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everything in between. But that was also Getting the C, brought to you by our friends at SeatGeek. Make sure you use the promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off your first purchase. And I think that about wraps up this episode. Unless you guys got anything else to add.
No, it's good to be back. Missed you guys.
Yeah. It's good to be back.
We don't do this often enough.
I couldn't agree. And we're about, Graham's going to China and I'm going to Europe here soon. And
no, he's going to Seoul because he doesn't have any.
Okay, he's not redheaded.
Well, he's not haired
anymore.
He's not haired at all.
Nice. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, we are the Between the Benches podcast from myself, Dak, Brock, Graham. We appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Doses.
And that concludes this week's episode of Between the Benches. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and check us out on YouTube. Also hit the like and subscribe button and look out for the next episode. Until next week, your Harley Riders.
Doc, what a fitting ending! This is incredible!